Hey, this is Casey Ferris. Welcome to another post-production tutorial. Now, something I get asked a lot is, if you were just going to give me a couple tips to make my video better, what are the easiest things that can go the longest way to make my next video for YouTube or for DVD or whatever? What are the best things that I can do to make my video better? So that's what we're going to talk about today, my top 5 tips for better edits. Okay, this is all post-production tips. There's a lot of things that you can do to make your video better in production. For instance, exposing correctly, making sure that you have good light, those type of things. Might talk about that later, but I mostly do post-production stuff, so here are the tips. And we're gonna do it in reverse order like a countdown because that is fun. So number 5 is make your video as short as possible. So this is something pretty simple. It's just me talking to my son, giving him kind of a lecture here, kind of a funny little thing. And you'll notice the whole content of the video is about 4:15, 4:16, something like that, because it doesn't need to be any longer than that. It's just a funny little short. And I shot probably 40 minutes of content for this and cut it down to 4 minutes. Chances are, however long your video is, you can make it shorter, and shorter is usually better. As long as you have all of the information you need and it's understandable, make it as short as possible. We don't want to watch a video that is super long. Keep it short. The same goes with short films. Same goes with feature films. If you can tell a story in 90 minutes, there's no point in telling it over 2 hours unless you're going for a specific tempo or rhythm for your movie. So this thing's 4 minutes, and you know what? I could probably even make it shorter, and it would probably be even better. Tip number 4, jump cuts. Either embrace them or hide them. Don't do anything in between. Number 1 noob mistake for making any video is if you have a jump cut, you try and do some fancy thing like fade, okay? Check this out, all right? Here I have 2 pretty obvious jump cuts right here, all right? And I'm gonna add a fade to each one. I'm just gonna have them fade because you know what? A fade softens things, right? Softens a cut. Makes it less noticeable. Tell me if you can see the cuts here. Did you catch them? Let's look at it again. Pretty freaking obvious, okay? If you want to be pro, don't do that. It is the most noob thing ever. And I know I'm sounding harsh, but it really is, okay? People that are pro at videos will watch your video, and if you do that, they'll be like, wow, that is a super noob thing to do. If you have a jump cut, there's 2 options for you, okay? The first is either put B-roll over this, like this, so that you don't know that you cut, or just embrace it and just add a whole bunch of jump cuts. Because if you add a bunch of jump cuts, people will look at your video and they won't go, wow, that person's a noob. They'll say, oh, they don't care about jump cuts. They're just using them as a stylistic thing. Jump cuts are not always bad. The only bad thing about jump cuts is that they break continuity. When our brain sees a jump cut, it knows that there's a passage of time there that we're not seeing. And so it breaks that continuity, which if you're presenting something that you do not want the viewer to think that there's time in between, don't use a jump cut. But if it doesn't matter or you don't care, just embrace it. Just put jump cuts in there. If the point of your story isn't continuity but content, then the amount of people that are going to care that there are jump cuts is 0. Nobody cares. Either cover them or embrace them. Next. Number 3 in my top 5 tips is color correct. You might think of yourself as just an editor, not a colorist or anything like that, but I'd say probably 90% of the time, any video that you make, regardless of how you shoot it, could stand some color correction. If you don't believe me, check this out. Here's a picture of a flower. This looks really good. It's beautiful colors. Everything is good about this. But check it out. If I go to my video effects here in Premiere, go to color correction and go to RGB curves, chances are I can make this look even better just with a little bit of tweaking. So we have before, after, before, after. Just a little bit of tweaking can make even a good image look great. So even if you're not super pro at color correction, add a little S-curve to something, and it will make it look at least better than it did. Tip number 2, tighten up your edit. This kind of goes along with the make it as short as possible tip, but check this out. Here we have 4 shots in a sequence, and let's look at them. We should probably skip this one. This one's from Julie May, age 8. So that's definitely a short edit. The difference between this and something that's just that much more pro is tightening up the edits. And what I mean by that is cutting out the extra little bits in between your content. You might look at this and say, oh wow, it's pretty short. But the thing is, we can tighten it up even more. So I'll start with my first clip. And all it is just me going through these papers here. All the audience has to know is that I went through some papers. And so after this, it's golden. I can move on. So I can take this whole bit right here and chop it out. And now look at it. We should probably skip this one. It gets out of there quickly and on to the next clip. We should probably skip it. There's even a little bit of time here before I say we. And so I can cut out that part right there. So now we have... We should probably skip this one. And after I'm done talking, then we're good. We don't have to hang on me for this extra half of a second. So I can cut this part out. So skip this one. This one's from Julie. I can even cut it out a little more. This one. This one's from Julie May. You see right here? All this extra time can be cut out. This one's from Julie May. Boom. And I'll cut this. So now we have... We should probably skip this one. This one's from Julie May, age 8. So now we have a much tighter edit. So it's easier to watch. It's more dense with content. You aren't sitting there waiting for things to happen. So nice and tight. All the clips are butted up next to each other. There isn't much time in between it. That's how you tighten up your edit. Okay, now for our last tip, which I think is the most important tip. If you don't do the rest of them, do this one. Because if you don't, I will travel to your house and I will harm you physically. Number 1 tip for better edits, freaking mix your audio. No matter how pretty your video is, if the sound isn't good, people will be mad, okay? People will put up with crappy looking video. They won't put up with crappy sound. They will click off your video on YouTube. They will eject your DVD. They'll walk out of the movie theater. Sound is downright offensive if you don't do it right. So you have to do it right, okay? And it's not that hard to do it right. Now, when you're mixing audio, the biggest deal is making sure everything is the same level. There are times when you want things louder than other things or quieter than other things, but for the most part, you don't want your viewers to be turning the volume knob or panicking and running over to the TV and turning the volume up or down because your music is too loud and your dialogue is too quiet and they can't hear you unless they turn the volume up, and then they get blasted out with the music and basically they end up killing somebody because of their rage. All right, you don't want that. So you'll notice on this... Strap your seatbelt, Junior. Today we're talking consistency. It's a sad fact of our world, son. We're inconsistent. Look, everything's really, really smooth. You don't have to touch the volume knob. And so if you can go through your whole video and you don't have to ride the volume up or down, you're probably doing it right. Now I'm going to show you a little tip for mixing dialogue because... Look at this. This is a 4-minute video and I have like 40 clips here, all right? And each clip, I'm talking a little bit louder or a little bit quieter. What I don't want to do is spend 19 hours going through and making each one a little louder, each one a little quieter, this one I should take down a little bit. I don't want to go through and do that. I have other things to do with my day. So here's what I do to make things sound good. This works in Premiere, Audition, Final Cut, like any program that does audio has something like this, okay? And it's called a compressor, all right? If you don't know what a compressor is, it's basically a magical plug-in thing that will take your audio and it will make quiet things louder and louder things quieter, and it will kind of balance out everything and make it all the same volume. I put this on all of my videos, even the video that you're watching right now. I know, it's messed up. So I can talk really quiet like this, and you can probably hear me. Or I can talk really loud, and you don't have to mess with the volume. So check this out. This is the same video with and without the compressor, and I'll just solo this track here. This different sizes and qualities, like it's some kind of big social experiment. Here's an experiment for you. I'm never going back. We're in a sorry state in this world, son. Nobody's consistent anymore. All right. So that's with the compressor. Now here it is without. It's like they purposely make the breakfast different sizes and qualities, like it's some kind of big social experiment. Here's an experiment for you. I'm never going back. We're in a sorry state in this world, son. So now I'll switch it on and off so you can hear the difference. Bread. There's no way to know because they're all over the map. Inconsistency is enraging, son. That's why we don't shop at that grocery / utility / camping store anymore. You have no idea what they're gonna have. When I was 12 years old, I went in to get a big wheel. They had it the day before. So now that I have a compressor on my dialogue track, all of the dialogue is just about the same volume. You can hear everything and nothing is too loud. Even if you don't have time to go through and do professional mastering and mixing and all that stuff, if you put a compressor on your dialogue, you'll be doing pretty well. Put a compressor on it, then set the level of your music. And then bam, they've never even heard of it. Like it's some kind of silly. So you can hear the dialogue over the music, okay? That's just basic stuff. So now you know, mix your audio and use a compressor on your dialogue, all right? You now have a responsibility to do that, because if you upload a video and you don't have that on there and I have to ride the volume knob, I'm gonna flip out, all right? This is my soapbox, and I will stand upon the soapbox and I will flip out until people put compressors on their audio, okay? So do it, there's no excuse not to. Let's review. Make your edit as short as possible. Either embrace your jump cuts or hide them. Don't fade them like you're being tricky. You're not. People are going to come to your house and hurt you for that. Color correct at least a little bit, even if you think it looks okay. Maybe open up some curves or a 3-way color corrector. See if you can make it a little better. Number 2, tighten things up. Cut out the parts that we don't need, even if they're half a second long or a quarter second long. It adds up and makes you look more pro. And then number 1, freaking mix your audio unless you want a roundhouse kick to the face. This has been fun. I'm glad we had this talk. Once again, my name's Casey Ferris. Hope this helped. If you have any questions or comments, leave them in the comments below. If you like this video, hit like, and make sure to subscribe for more post-production tutorials that are probably a lot more pleasant. Yeah, freaking mix your audio. I love you. Bye.